Meeting to order. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You want to pass this down to the board,
Can we have a roll call vote?
please? Sure. Mr. Violet?
Here.
Mrs. Minnie?
Here.
Mr. Platzer?
Here.
Mr. Apple?
Here.
Mrs. Trumbull? Here.
Okay. Our agenda here is to discuss the hiring of a new zoning administrator for the township. And I guess we need to add to the,
Right.
we want to add to it the agenda, a letter from our attorney for Mrs. Morris. Mrs. Morris, it's a reply to the letter from Mrs. Morris. So we'd like to add that to the agenda also. That will be number 2 on the agenda. If somebody would like to approve our agenda,
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
do we have a second? Support. We have a second to approve our agenda. Roll call vote, or do you need a roll call vote?
That wouldn't hurt.
Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Violet, or Mrs. Minnie?
Yes.
Mr. Violet?
Yes.
Mr. Platzer?
Yes.
Mr. Apple?
Yes.
Mrs. Trumbull, yes.
Okay, as to our first thing on our agenda is our zoning administrator. As you know, our zoning administrator resigned as of July 11th, and he's been helping us out until we could contract with a new zoning administrator. So we had three very good interviews. Gentlemen that are all been zoning administrators for different municipalities, and I found, and Jody, you can chime in too. Jody and I interviewed both of them, or all of them, and found all of them to be very apt, to tell you the truth. I think any one of the three would be a very good fit for our community. My personal recommendation would be probably Rod Cowan, and I'll tell you, and I'll give you some of the reasons why I think Rod would be good, is because he actually lives only, 3 miles away. He's in the community, he's in the community. He works for Clyde Township now as their zoning administrator and building inspector. And I think he would be a very good fit. The other two that interviewed were Kurt Levine, who worked for Port Huron Township. Also very, I wouldn't have any problem with, to tell you the truth, I wouldn't have a problem with any three of them. And the other one was Neil Erickson from, he works for Port Huron Township, and also he works for Kimball Township in that same capacity. So,
City of Port Huron works for.
yeah, I'm sorry, yeah, City of Port Huron. So, do you have, Jody, you have anything to add to that?
Only that in talking to Neil after the interview, he indicated, it's 22 minutes to get here from where he lives. So he felt that he needed $600 a month or $150 a week, or a day, I guess. One day, so I don't know if the other ones are cheaper and we're at the same opinion that they're all good, then we might want to go with the lower one.
Well, Rod was willing to work for what we were paying, for the $300 a month in phone and mileage. Kurt Levine, we discussed salary. He talked about $450 a month and no road time or no mileage or anything. Which I don't know that that's a good thing, because he's not close either. He's in Fort Gratiot Township. He lives in Fort Gratiot Township, but, he works in Burtchville Township, so. In his interview, there was some discussions about, when we had to go to court or go before the magistrate, about time being in it, the times that when he could go. And of course, he has a full-time job with Burtchville Township, and the fact that, he might have to take some time off, and that maybe one of us would have to go. Well, that isn't what we really want. We want somebody that's going to handle that for us, And then I think Neil, when we interviewed Neil, he also, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jody, he indicated that he would have to take some time off, and he would want to be compensated for the time that he'd have to take off from his other job to go to before the judge or before the magistrate. Was your impression?
Well, yeah, but I think they're all in a similar circumstance because they're all working for other municipalities, so.
Rod didn't indicate that he would do that, because Rod is his own, he only works part-time for Clyde Township. These other gentlemen work full-time for these other municipalities, so. And Rod is also a trim carpenter, and, he can kind of take his time off as he wants. And he's kind of winding down anyway, as far as his workload goes. So,
$300 a month, Mike, with Rod, includes phone?
No.
Okay, no.
$300 a month, just like we're
Flat fee,
we're
right.
paying now, and phone, pay for his phone and pay your mileage.
Okay.
But the mileage will automatically be cut down because he's not driving from Marysville or
Right.
like before. I think we were averaging probably $475 a month with mileage and stuff like that too. And I think the availability of Rod being as close as he is would be a good thing too. So I would leave that for any further discussion.
He works real well for Clyde Township.
Yeah, and I've checked them all out, and all three of them come highly recommended from the places that they're working now. So I guess it's a matter of choice for us.
I think Rod would be a better fit for us personally.
Well, I didn't talk to either Rod or Neil, but I had talked to Kurt when we had that lunch meeting with all the township here. And I didn't have anything objectionable when I talked to him. But like I say, it wasn't at either of the interviews, so I may have to go with what you feel, I guess. I know we certainly need one, and we need to get it done.
Can he start immediately?
You can start, well, yeah.
All three of them?
All three of them, yeah, all three of them. So, if somebody would,
I'll make a motion to hire Rod.
okay, we have a motion to hire Rod. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to hire Rod. Caroline, could we have a roll call vote, please?
And let's define that again, at $300 per month.
$300 for
Plus-
exactly what we're paying right now. $300 plus mileage plus phone.
Yes, we can. Okay, Mr. Violet,
Yes.
Mrs. Minnie,
Yes,
Mr. Plancer,
Yes.
Mr. Apple,
Yes.
Mrs. Trumbull, yes.
Okay, motion carries. Caroline, if you would like to explain what's going on with this letter from Mrs. Morris.
Yeah, I don't have the letter, the actual letter with me, but I did give everyone copies. Did you all get a chance to read it? She was, everybody read it, okay.
Yeah.
She was upset with, there was an issue over her husband's headstone being engraved on the wrong side of where her husband was buried. And the discrepancy, I don't know. It's a tough one to deal with because, of course, it's a very emotional time with her. The discrepancy appeared to me to come from her She spoke mostly with Ruth. I did talk with her. She didn't want to speak with me. The minute I mentioned that Mr. Steinborn from Jones Monument may have made a mistake, somewhere there was a definite mistake. Her husband was buried. She even stated in the letter she thought we had buried her husband in the wrong place and then moved his body. I said I assured her that had not happened. That it was just that the headstone was engraved improperly. And she got very upset with me that I was saying anything that she thought was placing Mr. Steinborn in a bad light. So we received a letter, and this headstone was redone with the names engraved properly, where his where he was buried, hers where she will be buried in the future. And that was 2 years ago? A year ago?
Well,
2 years in
2 years
December.
in December.
Right,
January.
a year and a half at least, yeah, okay. So, I assumed it was all taken care of. Mike and I both tried to speak with her. We went over to look at the headstone and
We actually met her over there and.
at the
And
grave.
she was very, she was very emotional and, which, you expect her to be, but you really couldn't discuss it with her because she had one thing on her mind and that we had made a mistake and that you couldn't talk to her, so,
When we saw that the headstone had been replaced, and I had spoken with Mr. Steinborn and told him that I believed that it was his responsibility and he was going to have to correct it. Whether he turned the stone, which would have, and then engraved the other side so that it would have been correct on both sides, whatever he did, I've talked with Mr. Steinborn a lot about headstones in this cemetery. He has the majority of them, or did have. He's placed them properly always before, or engraved them properly. I kind of told him that I thought it was his responsibility. When it was corrected, I assumed that he did take responsibility for that. And now, almost 2 years later, we received a bill for, I don't have the letter with me, for what, $22.50 or something that she wants the township to pay for, plus $500 that she had to put sod down on the grave, and she was upset that we hadn't seeded the grave. Well, it was December when he was buried, and you can't grow grass in the wintertime. So, anyway, the response, I sent that all to our attorney, and the response was that he felt the board should agree or discuss it, which way we want to go with it, and I don't know, do we need to go into closed session to discuss that? Since it's pending litigation?
I would think that we would want to do that.
Okay. To see what our response is. So that is that.
Well, that's where it is, so if somebody would like to make a motion that we go into closed session,
I'll make a motion to go into closed session.
9:22.
Somebody second?
Yeah, I'll second. We have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
You don't need that for that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. We're going to go into closed session.
I'll make a motion to send it back to Doug that we deny the request and apologize for the inconvenience and deny any wrongdoing. And carry on from there.
Okay, do we have a second?
Support.
We have a motion and support. Send this back to our attorney. Do we have a
Thank
roll
you.
call vote, please?
Just a second, please. Okay, so, Mrs. Minnie,
Yes.
Mr. Violet,
Yes.
Mr. Glatzer,
Yes.
Mr. Apple?
Yes,
Mrs. Trumbull, yes.
motion carries. All right, we'll open this up to extended public comment, if there's any.
Did any of these gentlemen who had been considered for the zoning administrator position, did they present resumes that included credentials of
As far as, what?
As far as to their qualifications for the job?
We didn't ask for any credentials because they're all employed in that position now from other municipalities.
So there are no
But we
resident.
did certainly check with other
Spoke
municipalities.
with the
With the
municipalities.
municipalities as to, you know. Is there any?
So the decision on the cemetery is not to do anything about the gravestone, turn it back to the attorney, so there will be attorney fees on that. Okay.
Okay, any other public comment? Hearing none, I would ask for a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
I'll second it. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Meeting adjourned. 9:49.